Smithers, you do it. Hi guys, so over the past few weeks I have been playing the shit out of the new Texas Chainsaw PS5 game. I don't think it's quite as good as Dead by Daylight, but let's give it a chance. Let's see how it evolves over the next 2 or 3 years with the inevitable updates and so forth. But it is a fun game, and playing it made me want to go and rewatch all the old classic Texas Chainsaw films again, so that is largely what I did, and that's how I have arrived at doing this ranking today. I have done a Texas Chainsaw ranking on the channel before, maybe 2.5 years ago. It definitely would have been before the most recent film came out, so this version that I'm doing today, it does add in one more film, plus some of the films have moved around somewhat. Now, I will be honest and say that I only rewatched 7 of the 9 films for this ranking. One of the films I just could not bear to rewatch. Honestly, it's so bad. And I've seen it 3 times before. I didn't see the need to sit through it again. It's burned into my brain, that film. No, I just wasn't putting myself through it again. And another film I didn't rewatch was the 2022 film, actually, because it's only available on Netflix, and I don't currently have Netflix, but I have seen it when it first came out. I think it came out in October of last year, which is less than a year ago. So the movie is still very, very fresh in my mind. It's probably the film out of all these that I needed to rewatch the least. So there we go. Let's get on with it. And we will start with the film that is propping up all the rest. And it is that film that I couldn't bear to watch again. So number 9, we have Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation. Now, I do have some positives about this movie. Firstly, Renee Zellweger is brilliant in it. She really puts a shift in. I don't agree with her and Matthew McConaughey trying to get this film banned or put back. I just don't think that's fair on the rest of the cast and crew who worked on it. But purely from an acting standpoint, Zellweger is brilliant and very unlucky, actually, to be in this film. The worst of the worst. It's just pot luck at the end of the day which film in a franchise you end up in as an actor or actress. The look of Leatherface in this is his best since the original, I would say. I think he really suits the cross-dressing look. He just looks really freaky. And the Benny Hill chase towards the end, I guess that's kind of fun, but that's where the positives end. For the most part, this film is painful to sit through. Far too much of the runtime is spent watching protagonists being tortured or humiliated or just in captivity. There's not enough instances where people are just creeping around. They're in the open. They've got a chance to do something, to escape. They're just caught for so much of this, and it's just tedious and boring, honestly. And the film looks shit. Like the way that it's filmed, it's like somebody's first movie, and they were just kind of learning the ropes and stuff. There's a real TV movie feel to this whole thing, and I just could not bear to sit through it again. The last time I did my ranking, this wasn't actually bottom. I think it was second bottom, but on the basis that I didn't want to watch this again, but I was prepared to watch the film that used to be bottom, I've decided to flip them around. Number 8, we have Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. At least this one can claim to be a straight-up horror film. It doesn't suffer from any of that black comedy bollocks that so blighted the second film and the fourth film, although the fourth film's got other problems as well. This one's all right for about 20-25 minutes. You get this interesting build-up where this young couple are travelling across Texas and they end up taking the wrong turn and they stop at a gas station, and there is a little bit of atmosphere building, but once the action starts, the movie is just really generic and boring for the rest of the runtime. There's nothing happening of any kind of inspiration. Honestly, I spend most of the second half of this just glancing at my phone. The temptation is too strong because my attention is just not being held by what is on the screen. The final girl is a complete non-entity. This is made up for a little bit by the fact that Ken Foray is quite good, but Viggo Mortensen's role is really frustrating because it looks like he's going to be the hero and then it turns out he isn't. But I really like this actor, and I think it would have suited him better to be the hero in one of these films rather than trying to be one of Leatherface's relatives. That didn't work for me. I don't like any of the new bad guys in this. Plus, it's really random how Leatherface in this film not only comes back from the dead, because he clearly died at the end of the second film, but now he's got an entirely new family and there's no explanation for that. And they do the same thing with the fourth movie. It's not the worst thing about this film, but it's just something else that could potentially bug you the more you think about it. This film is just outright dull, and I would not watch it ever again, but for the fact that it's a Texas Chainsaw film. And so every time I come back to this franchise, I somehow end up putting it back on again, but it's never going to change. Films don't change once they're in the box. This film will never change. At number 7, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That whole stretch of films between 2 and 4 is really difficult for me, but begrudgingly, I would say that this one is the best of the three. The villains are pretty good this time around. Not that Leatherface is any help on that score. He's too arms and limbs in this film. He's too comical. Chop Top's pretty good, but only in the radio station. Once he gets to the battle park, whatever it is, he just becomes absolutely insufferable in that part of the movie. I think they should have just killed him off at the end of the radio station segment and made him a really cool sort of 10-minute villain. Drayton's all right when he's on his own, but when he gets with the family, all he does is berate the others. He's a complete one-trick pony. It gets really tiresome by the end. What holds this film together are the protagonists. Both of them are really good. I really noticed this time, more than ever before, just how good a character Stretch is. She's brilliant, really well played. Dennis Hopper as Lefty, not bad, although a little bit too angry at times. Plus, there's a really weird moment towards the beginning where it appears as though he's desperate to solve the murders. And then Stretch turns up with some hard evidence and he wants nothing to do with it. It's like, oh, you've got some evidence, have you, kid, on this mystery which has become the bane of my life and I'm desperate to solve it. Nah, not interested, you go away. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, although he has one of the best moments in the film when he goes into the chainsaw store and he's trying out all the different chainsaws. That moment is so funny. And there's another brilliant moment as well a bit later on when Stretch is forced to wear the face of her friend. That's a really emotional scene, actually. Very, very well written. But overall, the tone of the movie is just so all over the place. I'll never be a big fan of this one. It is sort of watchable, but I mostly just feel sad when I've got it on because it's not the proper sequel to the original that I would have really wanted. At number 6, we have Texas Chainsaw The Beginning. When I first watched this 2 or 3 years ago, I just couldn't get into it. I just didn't need a prequel to the 2003 film. But I decided to watch it a different way this time. So what I did is I watched this one first and then I watched the 2003 film second. So I treated it as one long 3-hour film. I thought that might help me to appreciate Texas Chainsaw The Beginning a lot more. And I guess it did, just slightly. I mean, this film has gone up a couple of spots, I think, since I last did my ranking, but I still don't think it's a very good film. I think the biggest problem with it is that the characters spend way too much time tied up. They can't go anywhere. Like, this film is all captivity and torture. There's no ability for the characters to be free and make choices. You know, in the 2003 film, the characters are free a lot of the time. You know, they've got options, they've got things they can do, they've got choices to be made. But in this film, everybody's just tied up all the time. It just gets really boring. I like the fact that the woman from The Fast and the Furious is in this. She's a very good actress. And I like the biker chick. She gets the best scene in the movie by far when she hides the gun behind her back. She thinks she's being clever, and then the bad cop just turns up and blows her away. Very, very funny. But on the whole, this film's just not a very good horror film. Although, the reason why I've put it ahead of some of those other films is that at least it is a straight horror film. You know, there's no awkward tonal shifts. You know, this is pure horror, but it's not saying much. I'm not even sure if I'll ever come back to this one, in all honesty. I think I might just go straight to the 2003 film next time. Number 5, we have Leatherface. I don't own a copy of this one, but I would be more than happy to get one in the future because I think this is a good film. I definitely like this more than most people, I'd say. I just think it changes up the formula in a very welcome way at this stage of the series. I mean, this was the 8th film. Why not try something different? And I like this Devil's Rejects type concept of a bunch of weirdos from an asylum just going on the run and the cops are after them. And okay, the 180 when it comes to Leatherface's identity is a little bit hard to swallow, but I like the idea of that twist. It's not executed perfectly, but I'm not sure I would change it. I really like the Bonnie and Clyde type killers in this. They are a lot of fun. Some good gore and kills. The guy who gets thrown to the pigs comes to mind. There's some good subplots involving the cops and the mother of Leatherface's family. There's a lot of good stuff in this package. I've seen it twice. I've enjoyed it both times, and I just think it's a very, very worthwhile entry in the franchise. A decent final girl as well. And number 4, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022. So this is the most recent one to come out, and I really enjoyed it. It is a film full of highs and lows. The biggest of the lows is undoubtedly the return of Sally Hardesty. It's just not done very well. They couldn't get the original actress because she sadly passed away at some point, and therefore I don't see the point of bringing the character back. They might as well have just picked somebody from one of the other sequels. It would have made more emotional impact, because as it stands, I just got very, very little out of this subplot. And I don't like the idea of the Sally character doing a Laurie Strode and never moving on with her life. She's become this gun-toting loner of a person. I just didn't like it. But leaving that aside, the rest of the film is a really delicious horror meal. Watching all these kids in this random town trying to escape Leatherface, an older version of Leatherface. So many great scenes. I love the moment where the girl is crawling under the floorboards and one of the pipes gets burst and all this mud starts covering her, and Leatherface has got the chainsaw going through the floorboards. There's some good scenes of people just hiding under beds or creeping downstairs, and they're trying to be quiet and not making a good job of it. And the creme de la creme, the highlight of this movie, bar none, when Leatherface goes on the bus and just starts slicing and dicing all these people who've got their phone cameras out. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I've been sort of looking out to see if they're going to make a sequel to this film. No news on that yet. Maybe they won't do it, but as a fairly short film, something like 80 minutes or something, I thought it was a highly entertaining little piece, this. So number 3, we have the reboot from 2003. This is a film which just keeps going up in my estimations all the time. I think I was a little bit harsh on it back when I reviewed it on the channel. I think I might have even given it like 2.5 out of 5 maybe, but I would bump that score up now. I would give it more in the region of 3.5 out of 5, maybe 4 at a stretch, maybe. But this is a beautifully shot movie. It was such a breath of fresh air for the series after all those disappointing black comedy type films in the 80s and 90s. A fantastic final girl in this one with Jessica Biel. I used to be very critical of the cop character. I found him annoying back in the day, but he was much improved for me this time. I thought his arc was very good, and his dialogue is much sharper here than it would go on to be in the 2006 film. The chase near the end of this film is phenomenally good. When is it Erin who Jessica Biel's playing, when she runs into that abandoned house and she loses her last companion, and then she goes into the slaughterhouse. It's so exciting. I love what happens to Leatherface near the lockers, and you get to see the cop get his comeuppance as well. You've got all these slimy characters on the side as well, like those dirty women in the caravans and what have you. Very, very strong film. I like it a lot, and this is one that I will definitely continue to return to in the future. So in the runners-up position, I have Texas Chainsaw, or Texas Chainsaw 3D, or Texas Chainsaw 2013. I don't think anybody watches this with the 3D on anymore. It's not one of the more popular ones, but I personally feel a real affinity towards it. It's just a bit of a personal favourite of mine. I think this film has got the best final girl in the series, with Alexandra Daddario's character. I can't actually remember what her character's name is off the top of my head, but she's very good. I love how they've outfitted her in this, and the story is very strong. This idea of a girl who realises that she's part of the Sawyer family and she's got to go and claim her inheritance, I think that's strong material, And there's a nice slow build up in this film, having the characters go to this huge mansion. There's a lot of atmosphere, a brilliant chase when Leatherface gets them all out of the house and the main girl ends up in like a fairground location. You've got that wild card character in there as well, the thief, the guy who dies first, and it's just a really fun time. There's a little bit too much reliance on CGI towards the end. There's a scene where this corrupt mayor gets dropped into this grinder, and it's ruined a little bit because they've computer generated it instead of putting a puppet into the grinder. That's a shame, because that could have been a really good gore moment. But on the whole, I just think this is a film which is really worth defending. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. I think it is one of the stronger films in the Texas Chainsaw franchise. And I would have liked them to have gone on and done another one on the back of this. I think that would have been amazing. But as it is, it's a bit of a weird one, coming just after the very well-renowned Jessica Biel timeline. But it's good. I think it's really good. But it's not the best one. It's not the best one of all. We are about to find out which one that is. I'm sure you can guess which one we still haven't covered. So in the top spot, yep, we have the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For me, this is an absolute masterpiece. It's a 5 out of 5 film. It is one of my favourite films of all time. Tobe Hooper, you genius for introducing us to Leatherface, plus all those other cool villains as well, like the hitchhiker and the cook. None of them are overused in this first film. You just get the perfect amount of them. The characters on the good side are maybe not the best. That's the only slightly negative thing you could throw at this film, but I still like those characters regardless, you know. And there's just so many shocks and surprises in this, so much imagery that you'll just never forget. The sound effects, I can't get them out of my mind for weeks after watching this film. Some amazing moments, like when Franklin gets killed just out of the blue, a brilliant chase sequence with Sally Hardesty, the iconic ending with Leatherface spinning around in the road. It's a work of art, this film. It is streets ahead of anything else in this ranking. It's just a wonderful, wonderful picture, and I absolutely adore it. But do let me know how you would rank the Texas Chainsaw films in the comments below. And other than that, I guess there's nothing more to say than I'll be back very, very soon. Until next time, cheerio, bye-bye.